Today I'm going to go over proper ways on tightening your saddle and making sure it's nice and secure before you get on. I usually clip up my cinch so that it's not dragging on the ground when I get my saddle off. So I'm just going to unclip this and then let it down. So you want to come on this side and make sure nothing's tangled up or twisted or anything like that. So that buckle in the middle of your cinch right there is a great indicator on if this side is too high or too low. So you want it to go right in the middle of her chest, basically. So it looks like it's a little low on this side. You want this side to be higher than the other side if need be. Like if it's not even on both sides, make sure this side is higher. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this one. I raised it up one and I'm just going to go back down here, make sure it's kind of in the middle, which it is. So I also have to make sure with these neoprene saddles, they're kind of a pain in the butt, but you have to make sure that they're flipped over like this. All right, so we got that side all dealt with. So there are other ways to tighten your saddle, but I usually use the good old Texas T technique. So this is my Latigo, and some people will put their stirrup like this, but I've had it fall down and hit my head way too many times, so I just make sure it's put back there so I don't have to worry about it giving me a bloody nose. All right, so I'm gonna grab my cinch, make sure it's not higher than the other side, which it's not, and then I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this up slowly for you guys so you can see what I'm doing here. So if your cinch is like mine and has two different parts, like two different holes right there, the first time you go down, you're gonna put it through the small one in the front. Okay, you're gonna pull straight. Then you're gonna repeat that pattern. So you're gonna come up here, go down, but instead of going through the small one, you're gonna go through the back one that's a little bigger. That way, when you go to tighten it, that roller will help you kind of tighten it up easily. So it's very important that whenever you're tightening your saddle, you don't just go for as tight as possible at first, because then you'll get a horse that's cinchy, which means every time you try to go and tighten a saddle, your horse is going to turn around and try to bite you. So to finish off your Texas T, I'm going to come back up and you're going to go left, pull it through, go around, under the right side, and then down the middle. And there you got your pretty little Texas T. So horses do this funny thing. You can kind of think of them as a balloon. When you're putting a saddle on, they do this thing where they kind of suck in a lot of air. So they're like a balloon. And then as you put your saddle on and tighten it, they slowly deflate. So it's really important to make sure that you're tightening your saddle any chance you get. And usually I let her sit there for a second. And then right before I get it on her, I'm going to tighten it again. So I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but I probably should have used this saddle that has a front cinch, a back cinch, and a breast collar. But since I didn't, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you guys how I would have saddled it if I did have a back cinch and a breast collar. Whenever you have your back cinch right here, which you know is probably a good idea, this is just like my easy saddle. If you have a back cinch and just a back cinch, then the way you want to saddle is you want to do your tightest one first, which is your front cinch, and then go to your back cinch. So it's always 1, 2, and then when you take your saddle off, you loosen this first and then loosen your front cinch. And that is because if something spooked your horse and they ran off and the only thing that they had securing the saddle on them was their back cinch that's super loose, your saddle's going to flip, it's going to go into their stomach, you're going to have a really hard time trying to get it off your horse if they're not freaking out for hours. So say you had a breast collar, right? You're going to leave that because you're going to go tightest one first when you're saddling, tightest, so 1, 2, 3. Your breast collar is going to be the last thing you tighten. If you're unsaddling, it's the exact opposite. 1, breast collar first, 2, 3. And that is only because, like I said, anytime anything can happen. If a plastic bag blew by because there was a windstorm and you're trying to tighten your saddle and your horse freaks out, you want the tightest part to be securing the saddle on them, not the loosest part, especially not a breast collar. I don't even want to know how that would be. That'd be awful. So it's right before I'm going to get on. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten my cinch again, which is taking this outer strap and then just kind of going up and down, right? All right. I want to make sure I can kind of fit my fingers in there, but it's a super tight fit. You know, you don't want it to be so tight that you got wrinkles on your horse and you can't even fit your fingers in there at all. But you do want it to be tight enough that when you get on your horse, your saddle doesn't tip one way or the other. That is the most humbling experience ever. And I know my horse people have been through that. When you put your weight in your stirrup and your saddle flips towards you, yeah, not fun. So a good way to test if your saddle is tight enough to get on is just putting a little bit of weight in your stirrup. And if it tilts towards you, it's too loose. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my foot in. And 1, 2, 3, whoa. So see how my saddle's not moving at all? That means it's nice and tight. So it's tight enough to get on. So when you're walking around on your horse after you get it tightened up and stuff and you think it's all good, it's always a good idea to walk your horse around for a good 5 to 10 minutes and then get off your horse. If you've been riding long enough and you know how to tighten your saddle on the saddle, that's obviously fine too, but you always want to tighten it 1 to 2 times as you're riding. So when I'm on trail rides with kids, every single time, or doing lessons with kids, like every 10 minutes, I'm tightening their saddle because horses are tricky. They'll let out air when you least expect it, and then all of a sudden you're on the side of them and it's not very fun. And it's definitely not fun taking a saddle off a horse when it's flipped under their stomach. Just to make sure you guys know what I'm talking about when it comes to tightening, take your last one right here and you just kind of see, this one's so tight it won't even go anymore, and I'm not going to force it because I do not like when your cinch is too tight on your horse. And obviously horses don't like that either. So that one is good. We are all good there. I can put my fingers through, but it's a really tight fit. Hi, Miley. Say thank you for watching. Tune in for more. Thank